Possessions. That's an interesting topic, possessions. We can speak from the human again, as we always do. We like to start our talks from the human's perspective. So possessions. When a human thinks of possessions, they come from a materialistic understanding. You'll probably say to me, well, all possessions are a physical thing. Well, no, they're not. But we'll come to that in a minute. So, possessions coming from a human. We are taught through the media, through our interactions of society, the way that society is being manipulated to go and to separate itself from nature and the things that are around us. There's no doubt to that. There's a definite separation being made and created. So we're fed things that we want. Like if we want a boat or a car or a new car, and then we want a house, and then we want a bigger house. We want to go on holiday, then we want to go on 2 holidays. So we're not only looking at possessions of a singular object, we're looking at the way we value possessions is careful Busby, is forever increasing in the amount of possessions that we require. So we're looking always to have more. We want more of this, more of that. And when we look at the possessions that we want, and I use this word want, we look at it and as a human, we have desires for things. We have a desire, so we want this. And by wanting something, we lessen its value. It gives it a quality of when you achieve it, your goal has been desired and manifested, that you now possess it. So you have to go and look for another possession, another trinket to catch your eye, to keep your interest. I don't want to go into too many specifics of wanting possessions. I only want to go into the understanding of how it manifests itself within the human. And we look upon other humans and we want what they've got. We want their desires. We want their worth of what they think that the surroundings, what their life patterns, what their indoctrinations are teaching them. We want them as well as what we want. So we're now wanting somebody else's story. When you come from it, possessions, when you come from possessions, from a spiritual perspective, you're looking at possessions of, do you need that possession? Or is it a wanting? So let's say, for instance, you have a pair of shoes and the sole is falling off your shoes, or it's broken in some way and it's letting the water in. Well, that's a need, that's not a want. So spiritually, you would say, I need a pair of shoes that aren't going to let the water in. When a human would look at those pairs of shoes, they would look at them and say, oh, I have a scuff on them now and they're not nice and shiny anymore. Or I've had them a while and now I want another pair. And these shoes that I have are old-fashioned and I need to keep up with the Joneses. So I need these new shoes. They don't need these new shoes. They just want the new shoes. Because a need is where you possibly couldn't live without them. So I know you could, in theory, live without shoes, but it certainly makes it a lot nicer to have shoes on a rough terrain, even on a rough terrain like this. So that's the difference between a need and a want. And you could say that about anything. You could say that about clothes, because our clothes, the way that humans look at clothes, or the majority of humans look at clothes, is through fashion. Who dictates that fashion? Well, it's not you. So it's somebody somewhere that is saying, this year we are going to create this look. And everyone will say, well, I want to be in fashion. So all my clothes that are perfectly good, and my shoes and whatever else, that's old hat now. So I'm going to get rid of those, and I want the latest fashion. Why spiritual people can tend to look old-fashioned or different, that which I have been accused of many times, that is because we don't have a need to replace that item if it's still usable. When we do want a nice new item, it's like a luxury for us. Yes, it's still a want, but it's more of a luxury. It's not an everyday want. So I have some lovely shirts at home. When I was a human, I haven't bought any since I've become spiritual, but I have some lovely shirts that I will not throw away or give away, because for me, I can still use those, and I'm not keeping up with the Joneses or being in fashion. And if somebody else wants to, if some human wants to say, oh, you're old-fashioned, or you're not keeping up with everybody else, then I say to you, that's good for me, because I am an individual. I do not run with the crowd. And I feel spiritual beings, true spiritual beings understand this fundamentally. And they are individuals. And you can always spot them in a crowd, if they are in a crowd. Usually they're on the periphery of any crowd. So possessions to us are just purely for a needing of whatever. Whereas for a human, possessions are more of a decoration. And this is what leads us on to the ability to control humans, because to buy things you need money. And I mustn't digress too much because that's going to be another talk. So if I could say to you one thing, is that spiritual people or spiritual beings or human beings, people with a spiritual heart, they need things. Humans need possessions, so they want and desire.